So, in the last couple of days, we have learned about network security solutions and endpoint security solution. Today, we will continue to learn another technology that is vastly used today, and that is threat intelligence. Let me share my screen. So, we'll be discussing about threat intelligence today. Very important technology today. In fact, we as in the SOC team, security analyst, relies on threat intelligence a lot. And how we'll be using it, we'll be seeing it later. But let's try to understand what threat intelligence is. Okay, we will be looking into all these topics. So, to understand what threat intelligence is, let's look at a real life analogy. So let's assume that there is a group of robbers who is looting houses in a specific city, right? So and let's say in the last 1 month, 10 homes have been robbed, and they have a very specific way of stealing the things, right? So they have a specific system through which they will gain access inside the house. For example, they will make a crying baby stand out of the near the door of the house that they want to do. So, and typically people are vulnerable to such kind of things, and they feel like they have to help the kid. And when somebody opens the door to help the to at least take care of the kid, that's why he is crying and all. So these robbers will jump and let's say they will um, scare the owner of the house, and they get inside and rob the house. Simple technique that they are using in order to make sure that the people open the door for them. Now, it's been more than a month, 10 homes have been robbed, but the police have not caught, right? So these robbers have not been caught. You see, this practice that they're using, making a crying baby stand in front of the door, and let's say jumping when the door opens and then looting out everything and coming out. So that's called as a modus operandi, MO, right? So that's their MO or modus operandi. Also, I mean, which means basically habits of working, habits of working. Now, the this habits of working or the modus operandi is the information about the robber gang, because in the last 10 cases it is the same thing. Let's say when the police investigates the robbery, they'll get to know that they opened the door because there was a crying baby standing in front of their house, and that's how and they realize that in every robbery this is the thing being used, and by that they realize that it is the same gang. Now this information about the robber gang. Now you see, the robbers are not caught yet, and we know something about the robbers, right? So what should the police do with this information? Should they just keep it a secret, or what should they do? Typically they should share it with everybody, right? So basically to alert to the public, saying that if you come across a crying kid in front of your door, do not open the door immediately. Alert the police or report to the police station. Maybe they might also run this same thing on the a local TV channel alerting all the residents of the city. Now, what happens because of this? You see, even when the robbers are not caught, even when the robbers are not caught, we will still be able to stop some possible attacks. We will still be able to stop some possible attacks because of the information that the residents have now, right? So all residents and we will be able to alert the residents and thereby prevent robberies. You see here, robbers are not caught, but we're still trying to prevent the robberies just by sharing this information. Information, right? So when these robbers are not caught, right? So we I don't know whether we have any term for that in general, but in cybersecurity, we have a special term for these kind of attacks. Whenever there is a new malware, new vulnerability, new attack, right? So we call it as a zero-day threats. Zero-day threat. Zero-day threat means basically a threat that doesn't have any protection at, like coronavirus, right? So coronavirus stayed a zero day for almost more than one and a half year till we could find a vaccination for it. Right. So similarly, in the world of cyber also, whenever there are some new malwares, it will take some time to develop the signatures for the new malware. Let's say when I say signature, let's say consider it as a vaccine for the new malwares. Right. So however, let's say unlike the biological uh, vaccination. Here, developing signature is not that difficult. Let's say we had WannaCry happen in 2017. It took around 12 hours to develop the signatures by various vendors. It took 12 hours in order to develop a signature for WannaCry. WannaCry was a new malware at that point in time. In some, I think, June of 2017, WannaCry was a new malware. Nobody knew about it. Nobody had heard about it earlier. So the existing signature could not detect the malware. And in order, after it started affecting thousands and millions of computers, and the vendors like McAfee, Kaspersky, Symantec, Trend Micro, like say all these people started working on developing the signatures, and then they came up with the signature within 12 hours. That means WannaCry stayed zero day for 12 hours. Do you get the concept of zero-day threats? Zero-day threats are the ones for which we do not have protection against. If it is a malware, we do not have a signature. If it is a vulnerability, we do not have a patch. All right. Now, what is cyber threat intelligence? So, cyber threat intelligence is the information about the threats, right? So, information about a malware, about an attack, about an attack group. So collectively, this can be called as threats, right? So information or intelligence about threats, threat intelligence, intelligence about a particular threat. That's how the name is derived, threat intelligence. Threat intelligence help in preventing attacks from zero-day threats. Right. So now the main advantage of threat intelligence is that we can prevent attacks happening because of zero-day threats. Even when we do not have the signature, we'll still be able to prevent the attacks because of the information. Now, practically speaking, what is threat intelligence? It's basically a database of IP addresses, email addresses, URLs used by the attackers. or it could be the tools used by the attackers. So, and we can also have something like attacker target business vertical. What kind of businesses that the attacker is targeting, a specific attacker is targeting, right? So, and what are the different tactics that the attacker is using? So, all these, let's say a little bit of modus operandi, whom they are targeting. So, some attackers will always go after banking. Some attack vectors will only go after governments, right? So, all this is the information about the threat or the threat actor, and any information will be collectively put together and we call it as threat intelligence. I'll talk about IOC. Just give me a minute here. Guys, I'm away from the desk for 30 seconds. Okay. All good, Baji. All right, I'm back. So, yes, Shubham, I'll be sharing the PPT. Santosh, please, repeating is not an option. You have to frame a question. You have to frame a question. Asking to repeat is, I don't know what you guys are doing. I don't know whether you're listening or not. So, when you are joining the class, I don't know whether you have got a phone call while I'm doing the class. So, repetition will not be an option. Listen to the class, and if you have any question, ask a specific question. So, just to make you understand what exactly is threat intelligence, right? So, how did it evolve actually? So, let's consider this again. Let's say if you understand the story, you will understand what threat intelligence is. You will not find this anywhere else in the internet. So, please listen to it carefully. So, let's assume that company A is using some kind of antivirus, some vendor. Let's say, for the sake of example, we'll talk about it as Symantec. They're using Symantec antivirus. And obviously, irrespective of whether you're using whatever antivirus you're using, every now and then we encounter, let's say, new malwares, which will not be detected by the antivirus signatures. Right? So what we call it as zero-day malwares. Now let's say that company A gets infected with a zero-day malware. Now, if antivirus is not catching it, how will we get to know about it? Typically, what happens is we get to know about these kind of malwares through their behaviors, through the symptoms that they're exhibiting. For example, it could be that the server suddenly started running slow, and people raised complaints as to no, we are not able to access the server. It is very slow. And when the administrator investigated, they find a new process running, which is taking a lot of resource. And when they realize that the process is not a recognized one, so they strongly believe that it is a malware process. They still don't know it. They think that it is a malware process. It's a malware file. In such cases, it is a 0-day, right? So we're assuming that. I mean, let's say in this case, we're assuming that it is a 0-day. In such cases, the vendors would have informed the customers to submit such samples, to the labs, right? So the vendor labs, every vendor has the lab, or basically their R&D team which will analyze all these new threats and develop signatures. So this files will enter the queue because let's say a company like Symantec or Trellix or Kaspersky or Trend Micro, they will have, let's say, tens of thousands of customers. So all these files will enter the queue. Let's say, but however, on based on the priority, files will be taken, given higher priority, and immediately they'll be looked into. But whenever they are looked into, they will, like say, they'll identify certain information. So let's assume Trend Micro Lab. Instead of Semantic, let's say that is Trend Micro, okay, because I've written it as Trend Micro Lab. So the company was using Trend Micro antivirus. They submitted the sample because it was not being detected as malware and it is acting suspicious. And the company A administrator thinks that it could possibly be a malware. So it has been submitted to Trend Micro Lab. And after some time, let's say the uh, the analysts, the malware analysts in the lab will pick up the file and they will start doing the malware analysis. Once they do the malware analysis, they will understand what the behavior, the how it works and everything. And depending on that, they develop the signature to detect the malware. And they test the signature and then they release the signature. So they put it onto the update server through which all the customers will be able to download the signature, including company A. You see, somebody gets infected first, and only after that, everybody else will get the signature, right? So the new malwares, not always. Sometimes, I mean, most of the time, the vendors will be doing their own R&D and identifying the newer threats. But however, every now and then there will be new malwares that they have missed, and for which they have to develop the signatures on an ad hoc basis. Just like COVID, right? So coronavirus, somebody had got it, right? So, and because of that, everybody, let's say the scientists started researching on the vaccine, and only after that, everybody else got the vaccine based on its behavior, how to tackle it. So they developed the vaccine, they test it, and then they released it to the world, and everybody got it, right? So now this is the typical thing that happens, right? Now, what the problem with this steps is that, so let's say that the file was submitted on 1st of April. What if it's something legit? If they were, during the analysis, they will identify it. If there is something legit during, and let's say that's why I told you, right? So you have to follow the story. The administrator did not understand the process, why it is running, and they did not recognize it as one of their own. That's why the administrator finds it as suspicious file and he is submitting it. Because he is the administrator, obviously he'll be knowing what kind of scripts will be running in the system. And if it was his the file that he knows, obviously he's not going to submit it as a sample. Right? So he is not sure about what the file is. That's why he is submitting. So does antivirus company are the same companies which are responsible to create viruses in the first place to maintain their relevance in the market? Again, Ankit, these are all, let's say, just the stories, the rumors that you guys hear. You probably, even when I was outside the industry, even I felt the same thing. Um, it's not the case. Let's say on an average, on a daily basis, there are more than 5,000 malwares created. There are already enough malwares in the world. The antivirus company they need not create any viruses. The antivirus companies need not create any viruses. There are already enough malwares in the market on a daily basis. Maybe it had happened in the past, maybe early 90s or so. I don't know. Maybe it had happened during that time where because people did not know what antivirus is. But in today's world, no, because it's too dangerous to uh, get into something like that. And if as for some any reason the footprint leads back to the company, like say nobody will trust the company. So it's too risky for any antivirus company to play such games. Okay, Rakesh. Very good. How long company keeps the logs? It'll be mostly the endpoint security administrator who will submit it because he's the one who is dealing with the antivirus and the vendor. Okay, that's the point we're coming to, Gaurav. That's the point I'm coming to now as to what that's a typical practice. Let's say maybe till 2000. 12, 13, this is how it used to be it used to happen. There's a malware, I develop a signature, I release the signature, and that's what it is. So what happens? Let's continue the story here. Let's assume that the file was submitted on 1st of April. And let's assume that it was taken into consideration on the same day. Analysis was also done on the same day. Signature was developed by 2nd of April, testing was done by 3rd of April. It was released to the world by 4th of April. So that means between 1st of April to 4th of April, this malware remained as 0 day. That means it was 0 day for 4 days. So the new malware will be 0 day for a few days. Let's say in this case, 4 days. That means this malware could possibly impact other companies, other computers as well in these 4 days because nobody has the signature for it. Now, the vendors started thinking about this delay in developing the signature, and they also started thinking about that during the malware analysis, during the first phase itself, they get to know a lot about the malware. During the first phase itself, they get to know a lot about malware. So they thought about why don't we share this information to our customers so that even before we could develop a signature, they will still be able to identify whether they have been impacted with this malware or not. Basically, these are the symptoms, right? So when coronavirus was released, even though people, let's say the scientists could not develop the vaccine immediately, they were able to release the symptoms of the disease, right? So or the let's say virus infection. Let's say there will be a breathing problem. You will not be able to smell anything. You will not be able to taste anything. There will be high fever, etc., etc., etc. So that means whenever you have sense these symptoms, you can immediately go to a doctor. So now I'll just take a small detour here and try to tell you what exactly happens in malware analysis. What do the vendors do in malware analysis? So first of all, they'll calculate the hash value of the file. Okay, as I told you, hash value is nothing but a fingerprint of the file. It is going to remain constant. As long as the file is intact without any changes, the hash value will be the same. And then let's say during the analysis, when they break down the malware and do the post-mortem of the malware, they realize that so it gets an additional payload from 68.49.100.123. That means it's contacting an IP address in order to download additional malware. Payload is nothing but the actual part of the malware that does the harm. It could be an interview question. What is payload in the malware? Again, see, payload is used in uh, different ways. In a packet, payload is equal to data. When we talk about packets, payload means data. When we talk about malware, payload means the actual part of the malware that does the harm. Actual part of the malware that does the actual harm. Right. So though this malware, the update.exe, whatever this malware is, it is not the actual malware. So it is just going to create a platform for the actual malware to be downloaded later on from this particular IP address. And then after downloading, it will scan for sensitive information like maybe user data and those user information, the file, the password hashes stored in the computer. It will copy the data and send it to gmail.com. badguy@gmail.com. So this is what the malware is doing. Now, this information, the vendors started putting it in a database. So that means there is a file hash, there is a file name, there is an IP address involved in this malware, and then there is an email address involved. Again, I'm just giving a very simple example here. Attackers, the same say the same thing. They don't typically send it to an email address. They have covert channels through which they'll be able to exfiltrate the data, right? But I'm just for the sake of easy understanding, I'm saying that it will be sent over an email. The sensitive data after copying will be sent over an email. You see all these artifacts like file hash, file name, IP address, if there is any URL involved, if there is an email address, all these are called as indicators of compromise, IOC, indicators of compromise. Now, where does the name come from? Indicators of compromise. Let's say that company A detected it, they submitted it, and the labs, the Trend Micro guys have analyzed it, and they have put the IOCs. Now, why is it called as IOCs? I'll come to that point. You see, now let's say company B is there. There's a company B, and they have written a rule because they use this threat intelligence being shared by Trend Micro. They have written a rule: if any of the outbound communication, if any of the outbound communication matches the IP addresses given by the threat intelligence, which is in this case, one of the IP addresses 68.49.100.123. If any of the outbound communication matches this IP address, then alert, generate an alert. Why is this? You see, company B administrators might not have noticed the malware running in their company. Like company A people recognize that. Company B people did not recognize it so far. Maybe they have very high CPU resources. So even though the malware is taking high resources, they still did not realize it because their machines are powerful. So even though they have failed to recognize the actual malware, they will still be able to tell that there is a malware in our network because somebody is communicating to 68.49.100.123, and this IP belongs to in the threat intelligence database. And because it is connecting to threat intelligence database, that means one of my computers is compromised. That means one of my computer is infected with this malware. That means basically these artifacts will actually tell you that you are compromised already. If you see the presence of any of these in your company, it means that you are compromised. That's why they're called as indicators of compromise. Now, how do we get to know whether it's been communicating? This is where a SIM solution will come into picture. A SIM solution, which we'll be talking about next week. A SIM solution will help us, not next week, the other next week. SIM solution will help us in terms of writing these correlation rules that whenever whenever we notice the file hash, whenever we notice this file name, whenever we notice this IP address, generate an alert. Indicators of compromise. Firewall will not block in this case since internal server system is communicating to outside world. That is correct. Let's say typically when it's outbound communication, especially if it's happening on port number, the typical ports like 844325 DNS ports, we will not be able to block. We should not be blocking them. Only after realizing that it is a bad IP address, we might then block it. Did we understand this concept of threat intelligence? How the labs or the vendors identify the information, where do they put this database, and how it is shared? Like I said, that's the question. Next question, right? So now the process slightly got changed. After the company submits the file and the vendor does the malware analysis. They identify all the IOCs and put it into a database. Threat intelligence is not a technology that you install on your computer. Threat intelligence is not a technology that you install on your computer. It is basically a subscription based service. That means the database is in cloud. The database of all the IOCs is in cloud. You just subscribe to it. And then company B, even before, let's say I'm talking about all these things is without the signatures so far. When the company B gets the file, the antivirus will scan the file using the signature. So obviously it will not be able to identify because we still don't have the signature. And instead of assuming it to be a clean file, the antivirus will now check this with the threat intelligence. It will send the file hash to the threat intelligence server and ask, boss, do you have this hash value in your database? Do you have this hash value of the new file in your database? And the threat intelligence will respond back. Yes, I have it. No, I don't have it. Which is bad? Having the entry in database is bad, or not having the entry in database is bad? So having an entry is bad. No, having an entry is bad because that means it is a blacklisted hash value. Okay, follow the story properly. Having is bad. If the database is having the hash value, which means it is blacklisted, that means it has been identified as a malware. Okay, so when we get the response saying that yes, I have this entry in my database, then immediately antivirus gets to know that it is a malware and it will be able to block, irrespective of the signatures. Here we don't have the signatures, but still we will be able to block. You see, zero-day malwares are being detected and blocked even before we could develop the signatures for it. That is how threat intelligence actually come handy in order to tackle the zero-day malwares. Gautam, please understand the concept of fileless malware. Even fileless malwares are distributed through file. Even fileless malwares have files in the RAM. You cannot just create a malware out of thin air, right? So you have to have some kind of a delivery mechanism, a dropper, and other things. So, and the droppers can be detected here. Why can't it be a zero-day threat if it has the entry there? You have to understand the concept of zero-day, Sandeep. Zero-day doesn't mean that it's not detected. Zero-day means we don't have signature for it yet. For example, coronavirus, after it was detected in some cases, it was still zero-day for almost 1.5 years. Okay, identifying the malware is not a zero-day. Okay, if as soon as I identify the malware, it is no more a zero-day. No, that is not the concept. The concept is it is going to remain zero-day till we develop a signature for it, till we provide a protection for it. We don't block it using signatures. We do not block it in SIM. SIM is a detection tool. SIM is only going to alert us. Sai Kumar, I don't know where you are getting this. Undocumented formatted of library. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about here. Zero day, the concept is very simple. You have a threat, you don't have a protection. As simple as that. That is correct, Neeraj. Your understanding is right. It was detected in December 2019, but the vaccine was only found somewhere in 2021. So for almost 1.5 years, it was 0 day. Even though we knew, everybody knew that there was malware. There was a coronavirus. So just because everybody knows it doesn't make it not a 0 day. It was still a 0 day because there was no protection against it. You can't do anything about it, Gautam. If the malware is hidden and if the company does not identify it, then nobody can identify it. It's just gone. And there are a lot of cases like that where the malwares are actually running in the company for more than 6 months, 8 months without being. That's what, let's say, that's the knack of the attacker. The attacker has to develop the malware in such a way that it is um, it will stay there as long as possible, undetected. Jamal, as you notice, I always try to answer the question that are only relevant to the topic. I don't deviate from the topic. So, and I feel that sometimes it's good to get the things clarified then and there itself. What is the answer for malware query? It'll just say it'll just say 0 or 1, something like that, right? So now we have much more advanced versions of threat intelligence where there will be the value will be different 0, 1, 2, 3 maybe, right? So like say there is 0 means benign, that means we don't have the entry. 1 means that it's a suspicious file, and 2 means maybe it's a malicious file. So like this, they will have some level of understanding. The response of this query will be 0 or 1. Hashes are used in the signatures. Hashes are used in the signatures. Yes, every vendor will typically tell you how to submit the samples. Yes, if the here obviously not vaccine, if the signatures are not developed for a month, we'll say it's still a 0 day malware. So it can stay 0 day for maybe 3 months because we did not develop the signature. No, I just gave it as an example. Not all malwares will end up consuming high resources. There are a lot of other behaviors through which we'll be able to identify or let's say look for the behaviors of malware. Not all malwares will take high CPU. It starts from last 3 months. Jimmy, it starts from the last 3 months, from when the malware was actually there. This has happened a lot in vulnerabilities. For example, in I think it was what was it called as heartbleed vulnerability was identified in 2016 or 17 somewhere, or sorry, I don't know the exact year. Let's consider it as 2015 heartbleed vulnerability. But heartbleed vulnerability actually existed from 2010. Okay, listen to this carefully. Heartbleed what the vulnerability is basically weakness in the system. They identify a weakness in 2016 or 15. Okay, but it was actually present from 2010. Now, what does that mean? It means from around 2010, the weakness existed until 2015, nobody reported it. Now, Does that mean that nobody else in the world knew about this vulnerability? We can't say that. There might be a possibility that somebody else already knew the vulnerability, and instead of reporting it, they just started taking advantage of it. That means they have hacked using that vulnerability. So that was a 0 day for more than 5 years. Even though it was just reported today and we still did not have patch, we still call it as 0 day from last 5 years. Now, how did we recognize that it was vulnerable from last 5 years? Because of the module. The module that was weak was developed in 2010. The code that was developed in 2010, and since then the vulnerability existed. And there could be a possibility that somebody already knew it. They did not share the information to the world. Instead, they started using it to take advantage of the vulnerability, which is to attack. Okay. Now threat intelligence has become so popular that it is used everywhere. It's used on firewalls, it's used on IPSs, it's used in web gateways, email gateways. You name a technology, everybody integrates with threat intelligence today. Okay, coming back to the technical topic. Threat intelligence is a knowledge that allows an organization to prevent or mitigate cyber attacks, especially the zero-day malwares and exploits. So technically, threat intelligence is a database of indicators of compromise. It's a subscription-based service offered by many vendors today. So who are the vendors? There are some open source, then there are some commercial as well. So open source threat intelligence include abuse.ch, OSINT, threatfeeds.io, Autotion, malware domain list, virus total. All these things are open source. The commercial ones include IBM X-Force Exchange, Anomaly Threat Stream, Palo Alto Networks Autofocus, FireEye, Eyesight Threat Intelligence, Recorded Future. The threat intelligence became so popular and such an effective technology that today there are companies that only do threat intelligence. In fact, Recorded Future is one of the company that started off only doing threat intelligence. Okay, let me just show you the few open source. So here's a list of all the IP addresses listed. I can take one IP address. Let's go to IBM X-Force and verify. You see the risk is 4.3. IBM will give you some information about the malware. You see here, it was using some dynamic IP address till January 1st, 2018. And then it was also involved in scanning. I think very recently, here, July 3rd, 2024, it was detected that it was involved in some scanning activity. Somewhere here, because it's only 3 days, and this is the map is for what, some 10 years. We're not able to see the dot here. The dot is here. If you see here, scanning IP, the dot is here. A small dot is here. You just can't see it, but it started behaving a little weird from the last 3 days. Here it is. What it is doing? It is basically scanning IP addresses. It's a scanner. Okay, so it belongs to Taiwan. It belongs to this HiNet dash net. Maybe it's or the telecom company. The same IP address, if I take and put it into virus total, which is another open source threat intelligence. See, five threat intelligence out of 92 threat intelligence detect it as malware. Five threat intelligence out of 92 threat intelligence detect it as malware. Which are they? CRDF 49 detected as malware, SOC radar detected as malware, Psi radar, malware URL, Alpha SOC. So all these detected as malware. Rest everybody thinks that it is a clean IP address. IDMX source is not free, but you can check individual IP addresses for free. You can check individual IP addresses for free. But for automation and all, you need a paid version. So anything about two will consider it as dangerous. Anything about more than two, let's say three, will be considered as dangerous. Wireless total, even though they say it's a threat intelligence, it's not actually threat intelligence. It's actually a front end for multiple threat intelligence. Wireless total is actually a front end for multiple threat intelligence, but widely used, very widely used by a lot of SOC teams. See, 5 out of 92 security vendors flagged this IP address as malicious. We'll get some details also, what kind of activity they are doing, the same details, which country, Taiwan, I have to log in. I get this question a lot, difference between threat intelligence and threat hunting. Just because the words, both of these phrases have threat, somehow people start linking this. And my typical answer will be, what's the difference between a hard disk and a slip disk? You know what is slip disk? Okay, it's a medical thing. Yeah, it's a spine problem. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that just because there is a common word called threat doesn't mean that they are connected. Of course, they are both of them a cyber security related thing. Threat intelligence is totally different. Threat hunting is totally different. So we'll talk about threat hunting. I think we might have a day or two dedicated for threat hunting later on. Well, first we need to understand SIM logs analysis, and then we'll go into threat hunting. Threat research need not directly be equivalent to threat research will yield threat intelligence. We can say so. Dasari, we will be talking about analysis later on. Please, it is too early for us to start let's say the topic of analysis. We still have a lot of things to learn. Once we understand all the basics, and then we'll get into analysis. Right now, it's just a topic of let's say what it is, and then once we understand that, we will definitely get to know more about how to use it. There are different types of threat intelligence. So that let's say now that threat intelligence is a very established technology. Now we have different types of threat intelligence available. The one that we just talked is only one. Let's say the database is only one type of threat intelligence. Now we have strategic threat intelligence, we have tactical threat intelligence, operational threat intelligence, and technical threat intelligence. What we just spoke about the database is the technical threat intelligence. Then we have operational related. That means this is the intelligence about a recent attack that has happened. Right. So we are a banking. We our company is bank, and there is an attack that happened on another bank. We learn from that attack. Operational, tactical, right? So tactical basically what are the different techniques and tactics that the attackers are using on banking sector only. So for long-term usage, so that's why you see here both of these things will be handy for us long-term use. This will be short-term because it was only one attack. It was only one attack, and we can use maybe the attacker will use it again, or he might not use it again. But it will be very used for short term. Even the technical, all the IP addresses, URL, and all that also will be very short term because the attacker will change it after some time. But whereas strategic and tactical or long term use. Tactical is basically the techniques and tactics used by the attackers, and strategic means basically the overall picture of how the attacks are happening. Right. So which is the attack group targeting for banks. Right. So what are the tools that they use? How they attack? What are the techniques, tactics? So all these things strategically we have to collect. These two, strategic and tactical, are mostly white papers. You can just develop this after the threat intelligence will be in terms of data, like text together, put together sentences together, and explaining what is happening. Operational and technical will have the IOCs. So sources of threat intel, it could be third-party feeds like IBM Expose, Virus Total Anomaly, Recorded Future, Palo Alto. It could be open web or dark web or OS end. Like US CERT has a great set of information, information sharing and analysis centers, ISACs. It could be white papers, news articles, vendor analysis reports, etc. So all of this can actually help us in collecting and gathering some threat intel. It could also be our internal sources like our IPS detecting some malicious traffic, our our logs, basically the logs of all these technologies telling us that there is some kind of malicious activity happening, and that could also lead to identifying some threat intel. So finally, how is threat intelligence being used by us? How is threat intelligence used by us? So integrating threat intelligence feeds with preventive security technologies like firewall, AV, proxy. This is what we saw in the example I told you, right? Antivirus can send a query to the uh, threat intelligence database and get to know whether there is a entry or not. Like that, we integrate it with firewall, proxy, SIM. You name a technology, that a lot of technology we integrate threat intelligence today. Integrating threat intelligence feeds with SIM for monitoring and detection of suspicious activities by zero-day threats. So the same threat intelligence can also be integrated with SIM, where we will be able to detect any kind of suspicious activities happening in our network. Basically, this is where the indicators of compromise will be used to detect that our company is also compromised. A security analyst will use various threat intelligence enabled tools like IP void, URL void, virus total during analysis of an incident to check whether a specific IP address is malicious or not, to check whether a specific hash value is malicious or not. So we'll be using these tools. And using the IOCs, there could be ad hoc reports for latest attacks as well. So if there is a latest attack that has been popular and it's what we call the headline attack, so then in that cases, so we will basically try to take the IOCs and pull reports on a regular basis for a few weeks to check whether we have been ever impacted with this malware or not. This new 0 day. Basically, what I'm trying to say is today the world knows about a particular malware. Let's say today that the world knows about a specific malware, and everybody is saying that it's a 0 day malware. Fine. But what is the guarantee that you are not already infected with this malware? Your company might actually be already infected with this malware. So what we do, we will not start looking from today onwards. We'll go back into the data and check in the last maybe 1 month. Do we see these indicators in the last 1 month? Because maybe we also might be impacted. We just did not know that. So we go back in data in the last 1 month and see whether we recognize this IP address or URL or email address. Right. So that is how we use threat intelligence in order to generate ad hoc reports as well. All right, guys. So that's it from my side today. I just wanted to cover this topic of threat intelligence. I wanted to complete this week. Be similar. So it doesn't change from malware to malware. The next class will be on Monday, guys. No class tomorrow. Typically, we don't run classes on weekends. Saturday and Sunday will be off. But I just wanted to cover this one day. It will be SIM administrator or somebody SOC lead will be doing the ad hoc. You'll find it. Just put threat intelligence SOC experts. You'll find it. All the tools that I mentioned will be used. I mean, I don't know whether you're talking about threat intelligence tools. All the tools that you are seeing on the screen will be used. But again, these are all paid versions. What is threat intelligence? What are the sources of threat intelligence? What are the different types of threat intelligence? What threat intelligence do you use? Guys, all this is covered in the Udemy course, right? So there, if you have noticed the Udemy course, so there is specific modules for each. All the threat intelligence related questions are here. It is good, Abhishek, but don't do it parallelly. Don't do it parallelly. So just complete this course first. Sure, Gautam, most welcome. Yes, we have. I have a video, as I told you. Please go to YouTube and just type in threat intelligence, SOC experts. You will get the same video. My name is the same explanation is already there. Okay, a small session on my journey. All right, guys. So I want to let you know that that this is the end of the technical topic today. So I just briefly talk about my history and what I have done so far. And if you are getting late for something, you can leave for today. So I started my career. I passed out in 2007 from Dayanand Sagar College in Bangalore. I did my engineering in electronics and communication. I had an offer, two offers in fact, from college, and for some weird reason, I did not take both of them. 2007 December, I was supposed to start working. June I completed the degree, and by December I was supposed to start working. But for some reason, I did not take the offer. I wanted to pursue something else, and almost for 2 years, I did nothing. I just wasted my time into pursuing some other dream, and was not much successful there. So in 2010, I wanted to look for a job. So I'm almost after 2.5 years after my uh, degree completion. So I wanted to look for a job, and it was very clear for me in my mind that if I have to enter the IT, it is going to be purely for the sake of money. That is correct. 2008, where we were hit by the recession. Again, I did not recession did not impact me because I was not even looking for a job during that time. As I told you, I was pursuing something else. But yes, a lot of people suffered in 2008 and 9 because of the economic, let's say, overall global recession that happened. But I was not looking for a job. But in 2010, I realized that I was wasting my time. Let's say, my parents invested so much into my education and everything, and it's time that I have to take advantage of it and establish my life. So in 2010, I started working. I chose a field that will yield me higher salary. Very specifically, I chose a field. I researched. I spoke to my friends who were already working, and then let's say, after a lot of research, I figured out that I wanted to get into. Back then, there was nothing called as cybersecurity. There was only network security, right? So networking, and network security. That is CCNA, CCNP, and then we had some security certifications as well. CCNP security, CCIE security. So that's the path that I started taking. Okay, fine. Let me get into network security because that is the highly paid domain. Why am I sounding like you? Okay. And when I started, again, very simple. My principle, my concept, my philosophies in IT career were very simple. That's why I was able to get what I want quickly. My principle is that I have to work for money and nothing else. No designation, no promotion, no appreciation. Just give me money. Right. So with that, I started off. I What I did was I put. See, 2007 I completed. 2010 I am looking for a job. So 2 years gap. So I started looking for a job. I got my first job with IBM uh, as a desktop support engineer. Desktop support engineer. 3 lakhs was my salary. 3 lakhs was my salary. It was a very less salary, but I took it because of the brand IBM. After 6 months, again, even after I joined IBM, I was continuously giving the interviews. I was continuously giving interviews. Even after joining IBM, even on the day of onboarding in IBM, I gave an interview, telephonic interview. If anybody has joined IBM, it's a day long onboarding process. You will spend an entire day in onboarding, signing all the documents and everything. So during that time also, I gave another interview. The thing is, that is one of my secrets and open secret. The reason why I became super successful in my career. I will tell you why I consider myself as super successful in a while. Maybe at least for my level, it's a good level. So why I became successful is only one single formula. I never stopped giving interviews. I never stopped giving interviews. Overall, I have given around 380 plus interviews so far. In the last 14 years, 380 plus interviews I have given so far. And I think I have, let's say, around 40 to 50 offer letters lying in my inboxes. I did not take up all the opportunities, but I used to just take the offer letter and just reject them by asking higher packages. This thing always kept me on the edge. That interviews, I don't recall a weekend that I did not attend interviews, right? So almost every weekend. Back then, it was still physical interview. We used to go to the companies and attend the interviews. So I used to travel. One day I remember I traveled all across Bangalore. More than 50 kilometers I traveled just to attend 3 interviews in one day. Giving interviews was, let's say, was my habit. And because of that, I always knew what the market is asking for, how to tackle the interviews, how to appreciate the interviewer, so how to let's say impress the interviewer. So all these things I started practicing. And then, let's say, in 2000, sorry, after 6 months into IBM, as I told you, from the day I joined IBM, because I was not happy with 3 lakhs. I was definitely not happy with 3 lakhs. So from the day I started looking for a change, and after 6 months, I got an opportunity with Goldman Sachs. I got opportunity with McAfee. Both the interviews I cleared. Goldman Sachs was actually giving me 8 lakhs package. Again, I am talking about 2010. 8 lakhs was a big deal. A lot of my friends who were working from 2007 still did not reach 8 lakhs. Had not reached 8 lakhs. When I say still, at that point in time, till 2010, they had not reached 8 lakhs in that 2.5 years to 3 years period. And then McAfee was offering me 7 lakhs. I evaluated Goldman Sachs was a desktop support job, the same job that I was doing with IBM, but McAfee was TAC, Technical Assistance Center, basically assisting customers on McAfee's products. I realized that getting exposure to the cybersecurity industry or as a security company is more valuable than getting into another desktop job. So I took McAfee, even though it was a lower package. And from that point onwards, I never had to look back. I joined in 2010, September 2010, 6 months after IBM. I left. So a lot of people actually get into a trap of IBM. In fact, now they are suffering. IBM had this wonderfully bad culture where they will give you all the comfort and everything, and the people get accustomed to it. What I the way the IBM works is they will hire 20 people to do the job of 10 people. Okay, the work is 10 people job, but they hire 20 people, and salary also they will divide among 20 people. So instead of paying 8 lakhs, they will give 4 lakhs each, and they will have 20 people. So the workload will be very less, and you can go sit, relax, enjoy. It's like a government job. At least my project was like a government job. Did not do anything at all. And but I realized that, let's say, this is not the way I want to grow, and I want to really be aggressive in my learning and also growth. So I jumped from there. I went to McAfee. I joined McAfee for 7 lakhs. From 3 to 7, I jumped. And there in 2011, almost after 1 year in McAfee acquired a company called Nitro Security. McAfee acquired a company called Nitro Security. Nitro Security was a SIM solution vendor. Nitro Security was a SIM solution. That was the mark. That was the time when every vendor started the SIM. IBM acquired Q1 Labs. Splunk got into SIM solution, and McAfee acquired Nitro Security. When I started doing it, in fact, I said I don't want to do it. What happens in TAC, right? Technical Assistance Center. Let's say McAfee had around 28 products. I was handling 14 of them. Mostly network security. Their firewall, IPS, vulnerability manager. So we had web gateway, we had email gateway, we have uh, group shield for exchange, GSC. So there are several products. I was handling 14 of them. More product means more work. More products that I can handle, more work for me. So when McAfee acquired Nitro Security, and let's say my manager told me, Anand, you will be handling this new product that we have recently acquired. We'll start supporting that for next 1 month. So you have to start learning it, and we have to start supporting our customers. I said no, because I was already handling enough number of products. Oh, Mohammed, I would be so happy if it was 3 lakhs in US dollars. Boss, we're all talking about Indian salary, 3 lakhs Indian salary. Okay. So I said no to my manager. No, I don't want to handle it. And later on, my manager came to me and said, Anand, whoever agrees to take up this new product, they're going to US for 1 month for training. Then this was my first international opportunity. I wanted to take it. Then I said, yes, I'll take it. Anyways, because it was almost 1 year then, I had decided to leave. I had decided to leave McAfee, irrespective of whatever great company it is. I wanted to move on and take a jump. But because of this offer, I said, okay, fine, let me just stay back. And then I checked with the HR also. Immediately after talking to the manager, I checked with the HR. I asked the HR that will there be any obligations from my side if I travel? That, let's say, you have to give me another 6 months of commitment, 1 year of commitment because you have recently traveled. HR told no. I mean, big companies typically don't tie people like this. So the HR said no commitment as such. You can travel, and it's up to you how you want to continue or not. And then, let's say, because there was no, so my plan is go to US, learn product, come back, put down the papers, and leave the company. I did not know what is SIM. I did not know how important it is. I did not know what is happening. Nothing. So very naive, blind to the future. So go to US, enjoy it for 1 month, come back, put on papers, and change the company. I went there. I learned the product. Nothing. In fact, we did not learn anything. So I mean, it was my first international. I mean, all the three people who traveled together. For all of us, it was a first international trip. So we enjoyed a lot. It was actually in Idaho. So if anybody is from Idaho or Idaho Falls, so in fact, the headquarters of Nitro Security was Idaho Falls. So we went to Idaho Falls. We went to Yellowstone Park and this. So we enjoyed a lot. Nothing, no learning, nothing. We came back. I wanted to put down the paper, but I realized when I was in US that this technology is important. When I spoke to these developers, why they are developing it and how they are growing, what is the demand for the product and all, I realized that this is a good product. So I stayed with McAfee for another year. So by now it's almost 2012 it was. So I stayed for another year. So totally 3 years I stayed with McAfee. And then came a point where I became an SME for SIM technology. You see, The moment I realized that SIM is going to be important, I did not focus on anything else. There was a time where everybody was scared to handle SIM cases. Everybody said, let's say, because limited knowledge, lot of cases, McAfee started selling SIM solution like anything. Too many customers, too many complaints, too many problems, too many cases. So a lot of and the difficult. It's also a difficult. It was a difficult product. So a lot of our colleagues said, I don't want to handle SIM. The two people who came along with me, let's say one person left the company, one person went to other team. So I was the only guy who got trained from the US who was handling. Of course, we came down, we trained other people. We got remote training also from the product team. So all these things happened. But a lot of people were scared. So what I did was I told the manager that I will handle all the SIM cases. Don't put me into anything else. I will handle all the SIM cases. Don't put me into anything else. My manager agreed to it because SIM was bothering the team a lot. So I told, let's say, I'll take all the tension. You handle the rest of the product. Don't assign me anything else. And that was the deal I made. And I became, because I was handling, I was thinking, dealing with the SIMs day in, day out, I became an expert in SIM. I did not realize that, let's say, it was very, very important. I knew that it was going to be important technology. But in 2014, actually, by the end of 2013, when we started looking for out for a change, I got an opportunity. I was looking for change. I got an offer from Happiest Minds, again, purely based on SIM technology. Only for my SIM knowledge, people were ready to pay me back then. From I think by that time, my package was around 9.5. In that 2.5 years, my package was increased to 9.5 with some additional bonuses and all those kind of things. From 9.5, Happiest Minds was ready to offer me 18 lakhs. By then, I was around 4 years of experience. You see the jump, 9 lakhs to 18 lakhs. Back then, it was a big deal, right? So why? It was not because I was talented, I was anything, but because I was in a technology that was in demand. SIM was a technology that every company wanted to buy. So in fact, I got a couple of other offers also. Ultimately, what happened is basically when this Happiest Minds offer was given, I put on my paper and my company started negotiating with me. McAfee started negotiating because I was the only one who was handling all the escalations from Japan all the way till India. So the entire APAC, I was handling escalations for SIM solution. Any big escalations, any big customer escalations happening, I was the one who was handling it. So I was a critical resource for company. So I started asking for big hikes from 9.5. I was actually asking them 15 lakhs. Company was not ready to give. So I left. But I left it in a very bad note. I had a lot of issues with my manager. So I put it out, everything. I'll tell you why I'm telling you this. Okay. I'll connect this dot to the two later on. Okay. So basically, I broke the bridge with McAfee. I left it on a very wrong note. This is a good, let's say, example for you that you should not burn down bridges once you are leaving the company. Always be polite, humble, and then leave the company. But in this case, I was very arrogant and burned the bridges, left the company. But when I was serving the notice period, I also got an offer from Dubai. So there was a company called Ingram Micro. They were looking for SIM, again SIM. They are also SIM. And just to tell you how I got this opportunity. Again, guys, if you are getting late for something, you can leave. I'm not discussing anything technical. So I was handling this case, okay, in from Middle East. Typically, Middle East was handled by European thing, but for some reason, this case was with me. And this case ran for almost 1 week. That means there was a customer problem. For 1 week, we tried to troubleshoot it, and after 1 week, we were able to resolve it. And the name of the guy whom I was dealing with was Patil. And typically, Patil name, the surname Patil will be either belongs to Karnataka or Maharashtra. So a lot of Patils are here. So at the end of the call, I asked him that, let's say, where do you belong to? He said, let's say, I belong to Karnataka. Even I am from Karnataka. So I said, let's say, can I call you later on personally? He said, okay, fine. So I have his mobile number in my ticketing tool. So I took the mobile number. I called him. So I told him, boss, I'm looking for a job outside India. So do you think we'll be able to help me? So what Alexei said, Alexei, boss, you are such an expert in SIM. We have a lot of demand for SIM. You are always welcome. In fact, I arranged for your interview tomorrow only. So within 2 days, I got the interview. I got selected. So and this is happening when I'm already in notice period, right? So and finally, I got the offer from this Dubai company. I left Happiest Minds, took up offer with Dubai company. Not a, let's say it's a good salary, 18,000 dirhams. So it was good for a bachelor back then. So 18,000 dirhams was a big, good deal. So I took it up. I came to Dubai in 2014, stayed here for almost 1.5 year, 1 year, 1 year, yeah, 1 year, 3 months. Now, after 1 year, let's say, in fact, let's say this was consulting job, professional services consulting. What is professional service consulting? There in McAfee, what I was doing, when the companies buy McAfee products and if they have any issues, when the companies buy McAfee products, if they have any issues, they will call, right, the help desk or the technical support. I was that, right? So technical assistance center or referred to as TAC. In Ingram Micro, I was professional services. What is professional services? When company buys products, immediately after buying, they will need some assistance from some expert to deploy those products. That is called as professional services. Immediately after the purchase, we need some expert to deploy it. Right. So, for example, let's say paint. When you plan to paint the house, you can paint it anyways. Okay, fine. Take the paint and whatever you paint you like, you just paint it. But sometimes you consult an expert saying, let's say, what goes well with what. So I was that guy. I was the guy who used to tell the companies, okay, fine, you have bought a SIM solution, you have bought a McAfee endpoint protection, and this is your company infrastructure, and this is how it will suit you, and this is how you have to implement, this is the architecture, this is the design, and this is how we have to deploy. So we used to consult, help the companies and deploy the products. Typically, we used to stay with one company for 2 weeks or maximum for 1 month, and then move on to the next project. That is professional services. Again, I'm explaining it to people who don't know what it is. So like this, I did 21 projects in 1 year, and I was the only guy. And this job I thoroughly enjoyed. McAfee was okay. Never happy with McAfee job, but this job was really good. I used to travel every single week outside. I was based out in Dubai, but I used to travel to different GCC countries. It could be I went to Jordan, I went to Saudi Arabia, I went to Qatar, I went to Oman. So multiple times, Bahrain. So all GCC countries, I used to travel on a frequent basis every week. Every week I travel, I make 1,000 dirhams extra because of the per day allowance that I get. Right. So, and I was a bachelor back then, so no commitment. So keep flying. So I kept on doing this continuously. And in 1 year, I did 21 projects, and I was the only guy who got sign-offs on all the 21 projects. 100% sign-off. That means sign-off is basically after we do all the consulting work and do the deployment and installation, the customer will say yes, he has done the job, and they will give the sign-off. Only with that sign-off, we'll be able to charge the customer for that work. And I was the only guy who had a 100% sign-off, which means all the other professional services engineers had some concerns. They had faced some challenges with the customer. They did not get the sign off, etc., etc. So because of all these things, the McAfee manager wanted to hire me full time into McAfee. From Ingram Micro, I'm actually working for McAfee Dubai this time. From Ingram Micro, I'm working to McAfee Dubai. I was not only McAfee, I used to handle IBM Curator also in between every now and then, but mostly McAfee. So seeing all my commitment, dedication, and the results that I was getting, my McAfee Dubai manager said, okay, boss, I'll hire you full time. So from 18, the package was 32,000. 32,000 as a bachelor in Dubai is a golden salary. It is a very huge salary. Right. So, and after that, yes, let's say I got a call from the HR, let's say they negotiated the package and everything. And suddenly one thing came up. What was that? because I was joining back the company within 1 year. So I left it in March 2024, and this all these things were happening in January, February of 2020. Sorry, 2014 I left. 2015 this was happening, and because I was joining back McAfee from McAfee Bangalore to McAfee Dubai within 1 year, the McAfee Dubai should contact my previous manager. They should contact my previous manager, and then after only getting the remarks from him, they have to hire me in Dubai. Now, how did I leave McAfee India? Was it on a good terms? Not at all. So when I got the review back, so my director gave me a positive feedback. My senior manager gave me a positive feedback, but my immediate manager said, let's say, attitude problem. So my Dubai manager, who was supposed to hire me, he called me and said, let's say, what big trouble did you make in India and came here? So I mean, like say in India, I say, क्या कांड करके आए हो Bangalore में? Because I got a negative feedback from from your manager, etc., etc. So then, like, say, I will not be able to hire you now. But after March, because you complete 1 year, and after that, I don't have any obligation to take any, let's say, feedback from your previous manager. I can hire you again. So this deal was made, but again, I was disappointed because you never know if the time passes, what will happen to opportunities and all. We never know. In the meantime, I got an offer from US. You remember the McAfee had sent me to US on B1 B2 visa. So with the same visa, I went to US also. I got an opportunity from US to give the interview. Again, negotiated really well. So at that time, I let's say negotiated $5,000 per month plus let's say 1.8 lakhs in India. Because see, the thing is, it was a B1 B2. They cannot hire me in the US, right? So I was in India. I mean, sorry, I was my employment was in India, but I was deployed at US. They used to let's say per diem allowance kind of a thing. They used to pay $5,000. It was a huge deal. 1.8 in India and 5,000 in US. And in US, I don't have to pay any tax because I was just on a B1 B2 visa there. Worked for almost 11 months. This time I flew to Indianapolis in Indiana. So I was working with the state government office there, helping them again SIM solution, helping them deploy SIM solution, McAfee SIM. And then, like say, after almost 10 months, in between, I came to India and flew back because I cannot stay for more than 6 months on B1, B2. I came to India, stayed here for 1 month, again went back to US, and then came back. We completed the project. We came back. I was doing a remote job to this company, the same company. And let's say this guy is that's what it is. Let's say if they have work, they will engage me. Otherwise, no other work. So I sat idle for 2 months and then again started giving, let's say, hunting for job. I got a job in Qatar. This time I was almost tired of roaming around outside. So Dubai and US. So I did not wanted to go to Qatar. Right. So I did not wanted to go to Qatar. But let's say they offered me a really good package. That's what happens, right? When you don't want a job, you have the power to negotiate. So they gave me 35,000 dirhams, riyals, Qatari riyals. And I had to take it. It's a big deal. Again, I was a bachelor back then as well. This was 2016. And then, like say, worked there. And that's where I was working with the US company. I was working with the US company. I was working with the Qatar company full time. The US company was only on, let's say, project basis. Qatar company was full time. And I was working with another Dubai based company, again on project basis. So at the peak of my career in 2016, I was working with 3 companies. On an average, that year, I made 14 lakhs per month. 14 lakhs per month. And most of this was tax free because I was staying in Qatar. So whatever I earn, I don't have to pay any tax. You see the difference? And in fact, let's say I had my home loan when I went to Dubai. I took a home in Bangalore. And because of that, I had around 22, 24 lakhs of home loan. 24 lakhs of home loan, I finished it in 8 months after going to Dubai for the first time with my 18,000 salary. 18,000 salary plus I used to get around 3,000 extra because of my travel and everything. So, and when I'm in travel, I don't have to eat or anything, let's say, on my own. everything is reimbursed. Whatever I eat, I get it reimbursed. So almost everything I was living free. So it was like I just had to pay some rent in for Dubai apartment, but otherwise nothing else. So from there, let's say I thought when I came back from Qatar, I thought, okay, enough is enough, right? So I had done enough. So by 2017, I announced my retirement. Okay, let's say Tata bye bye to IT career. Let's have a calm and cool life. And not knowing what to do, and let's say thinking about, okay, fine, let me not rust my knowledge. Let me start sharing my knowledge to somebody. So I collected all my friends. All the close friends, college friends, I invited them. Was like say this is a good technology. It's really good. It's going to be huge in the upcoming days. So you have to move to cybersecurity. I called them. I pulled them. Like say they listened to my classes. I mean not classes. Unofficially, I used to do it in my home, right? So and then like say I had the commitment and the passion to teach, but they did not have the motivation to jump from their domain to the other domain. Right. So one was in testing, one was in .NET developer, one was this support engineer in Yahoo. So the different things were happening in their lives. But looking at my commitment for teaching, they started referring their cousins, their nephews, and other people who have just recently completed their education, etc. So this is how actually SOC experts was started. So these four people, I took the four people batch, first batch, unofficial again. They were in their hometowns. I used to connect to them on Skype. Remember Skype? There was a Skype. Yeah. So I used to connect with them on Skype and I used to train them. Because it was such a hot market, all four of them got placed. All four of them got placed. And their friends started asking them, how did you get into cybersecurity? And because of this, one of the guy, let's say Shrikant, he told, sir, you please open an institute, right? So, and we will send our friends there. Till this time, it was nothing, no charge, no fees, nothing. All these four people, my friends, I was training. I was training because I just did not wanted my knowledge to rust. So because if I keep explaining things, I think, let's say, knowledge will be fresh in my mind. Thinking that I was training. And Shrikant told, no, no, sir, you have to start charging fees. Let's say you establish a training institute. There'll be a lot of my friends who will be coming. He is the one who found a place where I can take a rent in BTM layout in Bangalore. He helped me in finding that place, and he negotiated with the owner and everything. And he said, like, this is how much we have to pay, sir. And I took the let's say desktops on rent for lab exercise. Six people. I took a small room in a shared space. Six people, and only six people can sit. The first batch I had is seven people. So one person has to sit little outside the classroom in the door of the classroom and then listen. And then from seven people, it went to 12 people. From 12, it went to 26 people, the third batch. And from 26, it went to 30, 35. And let's say we reached around at a point where we used to handle 40 people in a batch. But there was so much of demand that we used to run multiple batches. In a day, we used to run 3 or 4 batches. And COVID happened. We had to stop everything, right? So, and during this time, I did not had any job, right? So because I had left job in 2017 itself. So, and I wanted to go back to job during COVID. But again, I was used to earning 14 lakhs per month. Now, even if I go as a stock manager, which was a very easy job for me, the maximum I'll get it in India is 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs per month. So I decided, okay, fine, I'll not go as a stock manager. Let me learn a new technology which is in demand because SIM was almost common then. By 2020, SIM was a very common knowledge. So nobody is going to hire me for my SIM expertise. So I realized that SOAR is a new technology. I learned SOAR. With my contacts, I got some opportunity with Palo Alto Networks. So Palo Alto Networks ended up paying me 8 lakhs per month. 8 lakhs per month. But it was not a great 8 lakhs because I was in India. I had to pay tax. So but anyways, it's still far better than taking 2 lakhs and then paying tax, right? So I worked with Palo Alto for almost 8 months as a consultant. I used to help them implement SOAR technology. SOAR is the technology that I picked up. Okay. And then after that, in 2021, I realized that SOAR demands programming skills. SOAR demands programming skills. So the moment I reached there, I realized, okay, fine, boss, I cannot learn programming at this time. So, and this is even though I took a work with Palo Alto, it was not a job. It was just a freelancing work, right? So, and but they kept me engaged continuously for almost 8 months. 5 projects I did with them, professional services, again installation of SOAR technology. And I realized I cannot continue with SOAR because it is technically it was too demanding in terms of programming skills and all. So from second half of 2021, I was looking for some good technology that I can get into, which does not. Two conditions I had. One, should not require programming skills. Second, should not be impacted by AI immediately. Right. So these two conditions I started hunting, and finally I settled down on a domain called OT security, operational technology security. And I started learn. I adapted the same things. Triple E, whatever I tell you, I learned, I explored, I explained about OT cybersecurity to my wife. She was the one who is listening. She's also a technical person. In fact, she takes classes for us for cloud security. And then, let's say, I spoke to a few people who were in my students who were in OT cybersecurity. I learned from them. I sat with them for the entire day. I looked at what they do on a day-to-day basis. For my sake, they used to take work from let's say home, and they used to help me. 2020, this was early 2022. Work from home was almost stopping, but still, these guys used to take work from home, sit with me, and help me understand what they do in the day-to-day life. So overall, I was able to build some experience in OT cybersecurity. I knew the language, I knew what to talk, I knew the scenarios, uh, right? So, and some of the knowledge I got it from internet, some of the knowledge I got it from my students. So with all these things, I modified my CV, put some part of OT cybersecurity, started looking for a job. So, and then if I want, this was very clear in my mind. Listen to this carefully. If I want to do an official job, then the only country that I will travel to in order to work are two: Qatar or UAE. These are the only two countries where I will work. Otherwise, I won't work because tax free. So me and my wife decided back then in 2022 that, let's say, you also start looking for a job. I also start looking for a job, and anybody gets, we'll go there. So luckily, my wife got a job first. She was into VMware and cloud technologies. She got the job. She came. We moved here. I was continuing the SOC experts classes in the morning, and again I kept on giving interviews. 2022 market was good here, and I attended several 12 interviews. I got 8 offer letters, but none of them was for OT, all SOC and all. So, and after waiting for almost 6 months, I could not get any OT cybersecurity. So I said, okay, fine. Anyways, I'm getting some SOC related job, and they are also paying me good. Let me take it up. And as the fate will have it, right? So they say, right? Let's say there is a saying, if you from this alchemist book, if you want something desperately from the bottom of your heart, the entire universe will conspire in your favor. That happened. I not only got a job in OT security, I got a job in OT security vendor. Remember, my career was shot up because of McAfee, because that was a cybersecurity vendor. And today I work with a company called TX1 Networks, which is an OT cybersecurity vendor. TX1 focuses purely on OT cybersecurity. Right. So, and like I say, now with all the, I'm into pre-sales now. So with all the commissions and all, let's say I make close to around 54,000 dirhams. So this is my journey, guys, so far. I am the trainer and I am the founder as well. Wow, somebody has created a summary of it, Ravindra. I'll tell you guys one of the only one decision. You just follow this one thing, and you will be you will have a wonderful career. Give at least 2 interviews every month, whether you are looking for a job change or not. Whether you are looking for a job change or not, give 2 interviews every month. If you can just follow this one instruction, I think rest everything will fall into place. Because when you give interview, at least for the sake of interview, even though you don't want it, you will study. Because you don't, that ego will come, right? I don't know what if I am not able to answer simple questions. Let me just go ahead and revise. So, and during the interview, you'll definitely face 1 or 2 questions which you don't know. And your mind will be curious. I mean, like, say, what is this question? What did he ask? Let me just go back and explore it. So this is how you actually learn. And you are actually learning the topics that are being discussed in the interviews. That is these are the hot topics. And let's say, and more often than not, when you get selected, you don't want the offer. This is the best thing, guys. The best thing in life is to have an offer letter that you don't want, because that is when you can negotiate aggressively, very aggressively, right? So you will there are, for example, that the Qatar deal, the Qatar offer that I got after US stint. I had 6 months of 6 months. I spent 6 months in Qatar. They offered me 24,000. Let's say initially, when I told the HR, what is your expectation? I said 35. They said, let's say that HR clearly told Anand, if I mention this number, they will reject your profile right away. I asked, put it, put 35, because I did not wanted that offer. So I cleared the interview. I cleared the technical round. The director was impressed with me, and they gave me 35. But if I was desperate, oh, it's an international opportunity, I should not leave it. They're giving 24, I should agree for 24. If I was desperate, then I would have probably accepted it for 24. Because I did not wanted that, and I wanted to reject in style, that means, okay, fine. If you want to hire me, then pay me this much. Some companies will be desperate. I want to take advantage of the company's desperation. And I don't want to be desperate. Even this OT job, even this OT cybersecurity job, even though I was desperate to get into OT cybersecurity, I did not show that. I told them, let's say, boss, I need this much salary. Because I know that, let's say, one thing that the consulting guy, like this person who was helping me get this job, what do we call them, man? HR consulting firm, right? So the HR consulting firm, what he told was that this manager is very strict. The person who conducted the interview is very strict. He has already rejected 12 people. So I knew that they are struggling to hire people. And after so many, let's say, when I attended the interview, yes, it was a very tough interview. He grilled me properly. He did not leave any technology, from basic concepts, antivirus, DLP, and other things, all the way up to SIM and EDR technologies. Everything he asked: email technology, web technologies, WAF, cloud. He asked me on every single thing, including OT cybersecurity. Luckily, I had prepared, right? So I had spent a lot of time learning OT. So all these things, I was able to clear the interview. Now that I know that I cleared the interview after 12 guys, I cleared the interview. And obviously, he has to again take chance if he rejects me. So I asked for a higher package, very big package. So, and then let's say ultimately we negotiated, and we reached to a conclusion that it will be 45 plus around 9,000 is a variable now. Every month I get 9,000 is monthly variable, because I'm a pre-sales. If I achieve my targets, I'll get my that 9,000. And so far we are able to achieve around 70% of my target every quarter. So this next quarter will be achieving this quarter, right? Q3 I'll be achieving more than 100%. I am 39 now. I'll be turning 39 in a couple of months. In fact, what is this? July 6th. Okay, so February I'll be turning 39. And 40th year, when I turn 40, that is 2026 February, is the day I will say goodbye to IT. So including SOC experts. I mean, of course, SOC experts will continue to happen, but I'll be handing it over to somebody else, the entire management. I'll still be training because mentoring is my passion. So every 2 hours, I don't think so. It's not a big deal. So I'll continue to give, but no financial attachments with SOC experts. 40 cybersecurity, Ankit, that's what I'm telling you. Follow the story. OT cybersecurity is really good. And the other thing that saved me, just a simple guideline for you guys, and which is very important for you, which is very important for you at this point in time. Uh, yeah, I am almost achieved that fire number, whatever I wanted to achieve. So again, only through salary, and obviously some proper investments. Okay. So today my net worth stands somewhere close to around 12 CR. Now, why am I telling you this? The condition I said is basically all this is done only through salary, which means irrespective of whether you had a great grandfathers or not, you can still make it if you work smartly and if you work for money. Okay, so that is the case. Again, don't take me wrong. So I let's say if it is IT career, it is money for me. I really want more money. If I because again I'm trading my time with them. So that's how it works. Don't take me wrong. As I told you, SOC experts is my passion project. This has not been started for money's sake. In fact, I till now I did not even take a single penny from SOC experts. I used to do my freelance consulting whenever I wanted. Every 3 4 months in a year, I used to work. From 2017, I used to work for let's say 3 to 4 months per year, and that used to suffice. So what I was saying is one of the things that you should be doing from day one is start saving money, because if you have a backup, if you have the proper saving, trust me, you can take any kind of risks in life. Lot of people are actually tied up with, let's say, the EMIs. They don't have the flexibility to be jobless for even a month. They don't have the flexibility to be jobless even for a month. So what they do, they always jump in desperation. They always change jobs in desperation. So I am earning 10 lakhs. Okay, somebody is giving me 13 lakhs, jump. If you're earning 10 lakhs, the minimum jump that you should take is not less than 20 lakhs. Yes, it is not going to come easily. It might not come within 2 months, but you need to have patience and wait for it. Because after you might wait for another 4 to 5 months to jump that 10 to 20 lakhs. But after that, you are going to stay there for 2 years. And the next jump that you are going to have will depend on the current package. In India, that is the trend, right? Not only in India, most of the countries, your next package will depend on your current package. In fact, let's say when I started the SOC experts, I knew my expertise is not in cybersecurity. I'm a okay cybersecurity professional. I'm a okay cybersecurity professional, but more importantly, I understood how to crack job markets. I don't know if I have this. I think it is somewhere here. PC, Google Drive, My Drive. Uh, I hope I'll be able to. I have a book written based on my journey. I still have not released it yet. So the title of the book is basically "When is your last working day?" When is your? I think I'm sharing the screen. I think you're able to see it. So this book is dedicated to the students of SOC experts from whom I have learned a lot. Do you guys relate to it? Especially for people, I mean, I think everybody, both the people can relate to it. People who are fresh graduates. I'm pretty sure anybody who is having 5+ years of experience, they'll be experiencing this. Again, it's not my line. I think it was I think there was some dialogue about love. Everybody, I don't know. I just took it from somewhere and just I adapted it to IT. Why this book? So I always see, like say, I have noticed there are I noticed three categories of professionals in IT: the gifted, the survivors, and the average. So most of us belong in this average group. So the theme of this book is achieving super success in an IT career with average skills. So how to use this book, and then we have my story as to why I am eligible to write this book. Right. So talked about what I did and how I failed, some testimonials, and then okay, ultimately it all depends on this: choosing a newest technology, effective learning, showcasing, cracking the interview, salary negotiation, surviving the job. So I explained each of these things. Let's say a lot of these things I typically explain in my in the classes also. Choosing a new technology is here, somewhere here. I wanted to show you this. You see, so there are four career how to choose a new field. Every technology has a life cycle. It is born, reaches its prime, and eventually dies off. I put them into four categories: the glitter, the gold, the garage, the garbage. So the glitter is something new, something that can happen, big thing tomorrow. For example, drone technology. So it's already happening, but it's going to be even bigger in the future, right? So the gold. Now this is the field where you should be in. Now this is where for example, AI, cybersecurity, 5G, 6G, all these are gold right now because these technologies are bound to go up. The garage means old technologies like .NET projects, Java projects, where people might not even be using them in the future. So just maintenance projects. The garbage is the outdated technologies. Maybe out of 100 companies, maybe 3, 4 companies might be using it. So effective learning, how to learn things effectively. And finally, I have these one chapters. I have the things on salary negotiation tips. So be polite, clarify whom you are dealing with, use emails to communicate, avoid getting distracted, use distractions effectively, talk about the technical team, give assurance about your joining, and never quote personal crisis, making a list of your strength, don't hard negotiate your first offer, how to use counter offers, how to choose between multiple offer letters, how to survive the new job. So everything I have written very elaborately. And there are some other career hacks. When to switch jobs. Always look for a change when you are comfortable in your current job. Always look for a change when you are comfortable in your current. Lot of people make a mistake. They jump when they are desperate. They are expecting a hike. They did not get the hike. And they want to teach the company a lesson that without them, the company will not survive because they're a critical resource. They put on papers. They live in, let's say, in a haste, in a hurry, and they just end up, like say, from a frying pan to the fire. In such cases, the person would think more about quitting the company rather than focusing on switching for progress. Their emotional state will cloud their judgment, and they decide to take up the next job with minimal hikes or join another bad company. So don't wait for the hike cycle. A lot of I have heard this also. A lot of people say, let's say, yeah, after I get this hike, I look for a change. Give at least one interview every quarter. Now, this is the quote. I told you right already. Even if you don't want to follow any other techniques highlighted in this book, please follow this one, and you will thank yourself for doing it and me for suggesting it. My theory behind giving at least one interview per quarter is simple. So this one, give at least one interview every quarter. Again, if you want to be more aggressive, I will say one per month. Even more aggressive, two per month. That's what I recommend you do. Give two interviews every month. Job change frequency, 3 months notice period. Somebody asked me about 3 months notice period. I have covered that topic here. How to tackle the 3 months notice period problem. Savings. This is a big thing, right? So the biggest risk is not taking risk at all. We have heard several times, like say, etc., etc. Without savings, it's impossible to take risks, guys. Interviews and luck. How the interviews. So luck plays a role in interview. So I have listened after listening to about more than 20,000 plus interview stories, because our students and all who attend the interviews, they tell how they got the job and all. So law of attraction, how it works. So international opportunities, how to find them. Start with the end in mind, right? So ultimately, if you want to reach, let's say, I always say 3x your experience, three times your experience. So if at the 10th year of experience, if you want to be at 40 lakhs, you have to look back, right? So if you as a fresher, if you are taking 3 lakhs, after 2 years, you should be at 5 lakhs. You cannot directly jump from here to here, because in India, a lot of time the salaries depend on your previous salary. From here, you can make a jump here, from here to here, here to here, like this, you can make a jump. I will try to release it, guys. I am waiting for some things to settle down. I think I'll release it very soon. You are committing a crime if you earn less than your years of experience. Hopefully, I'll release this book. I don't want to give it for free, because there is a lot of information and my experience in it. But at the same time, I don't want it to be expensive. So it will be under $1. It will just be under $1. I think the minimum that Amazon will allow me to keep is, I think, 79 rupees, which is approximately $1. What exactly happened in McAfee Bangalore? For me, nothing. I'm like say I was again. I gave the example, right? People leave the companies in when they are desperate. The situation happened to me in McAfee. I worked to support SIM solution, because started taking dedicated SIM. I worked for continuously for 9 months in night shifts, right? So and during that time in 2013, the company did not do well. So the hikes were not given. The hikes were not given. Good hikes were not given that year. And then I demanded, boss, let's say you don't have to give me a hike. I need a salary correction. And they said, no budget. Allow us some 4 months. I will arrange for an interim hike for you. That this and all. But let's say, and at one point I told my manager that, let's say, I don't trust you. I want my senior manager with me during the hike discussion.
So, and then like say at the last, when I was leaving the company, I gave a 6-page report on my manager. He was a he was really a bad manager, but that's how. Let's say you should not express all your grudge officially. You should never do that. Today, if I am leaving a company or whatever it is, let's say in any IT career, any person that I meet, I will never take things on my ego. I just say I will say goodbye in a good way, so that I can keep that door open. So tomorrow, if there is a necessity, I can always knock that door again. I am from Hubli, but I stayed a lot in Bangalore, of course, for my engineering, and also after co-engineering, I worked there for quite some years, and then I left Bangalore, moved to Dubai, went to US, went to Qatar, then came back to India in Bangalore, started SOC experts from 17 to 20. I was in Bangalore. For COVID, I went back to Hubli. And since 2020, I'm staying in Hubli only. And now also, when I return to India, I'm planning to come back to India next year permanently. So when I come back, I'll go back to Hubli. So, and I think I'll be getting into real estate. Nama Bengaluru. Santosh is from Dharwad. Namaskar. What is the best? There is no concept called. I studied in Gadak Pradeep. I studied in CDO Jain. KGF. Yadgiri. Wow. So a lot of people around Tumkur. Okay, there's no field called network security right now, pure network security. So it's mostly cyber security. Cyber security is a bigger umbrella. So prefer cyber security. Okay. Network security is very, let's say, focused on networking and firewalls and those kind of concepts. So I would definitely recommend cybersecurity because it's wider field. And a lot of people are asking which is a good field now. Obviously, I already told you as a part of my story, one of the best field right now is OT cybersecurity. And hopefully, when the markets are good, I will start OT cybersecurity classes also. Yes, Revant, I answered your question. I believe by next year I should start them. By January I should start OT cybersecurity classes, and yeah, it will be for people who are already working in cybersecurity because it's a transition course rather than a basic course. So anybody who's working in cybersecurity can take up the OT cybersecurity class for 1 month. It'll be a 1 month course. I have a curriculum designed. I'm just adding more and more content to it as and when I learn new things. Sure, Ravindra, we will definitely arrange for a meetup in Bangalore. See, cloud security is good, but in order to survive and excel in cloud security, you need to know a little bit of scripting. Anything in cloud, if you want to master it, you need to know programming. You need to have programming skills. I was looking for a field that does not require programming skills and that will not be impacted by AI soon. So the field that I figured out in cybersecurity is OT security. So it's not going to be impacted by AI at least for the next 3 to 4 years, and it doesn't require any programming. Let's say here we're still talking about antivirus and IPS. OT cybersecurity is at least 15 years behind IT cybersecurity. Yes, Python programming will definitely help. Yes, Abhishek, if you can take the CA certification, it will definitely be beneficial, not to crack interviews, but to get interview calls. Okay, there's a difference. If you have certificates, you might get more opportunities, but clearing the interview will not depend on your certification. It will purely depend on how well you answer, and how well you answer depends on technical fluency. So when you are taking this course, take it very seriously. I'm not sure how many of you are doing technical fluency. That means explaining concept for 30 minutes, reading 3 cybersecurity articles, 3 job descriptions every single day. But if you're doing it, you are on the right track. Mahesh, one thing that you have to understand from my story is don't focus on the levels. Okay, if you are getting 5 lakhs package right now or 6 lakhs package, if a company is offering you 12 lakhs and they are ready to give you L1, take it. Why do you bother about L1, L2, L3? Let's say, this is what I don't understand, guys. Try to understand this. Let's say somebody is married, okay, or tomorrow, people who are still not married, tomorrow you guys will get married. So your kid, your wife, or your partner have no relevance to what kind of levels and designations you work, what kind of certifications you do. Yes, momentarily they might feel happy. For example, when I go and tell my wife, I cleared the certification, yeah, good, congratulations. But what matters to my family more is what is my bank balance, how much I earn every month. So don't beat around the bush. Directly hit the point. You want salary. That's it. If some company is giving you a good salary, go for it. Well, what designation they are giving, who cares? And if you want to change anything you want. Nobody is so stringent about the designation. In your CV, if you want to put that you are a L3 security engineer, put L3 security engineer. Who cares? So there is a different way of approaching, let's say, what the designation is, what you put in your CV, how to actually get the, let's say, form filled. Once you get placed, you will be given a form to fill the letter. To fill a form where you have to write your designation and all. There you write your official designation. But in your CV, you write anything you want. For example, I was never a OT cybersecurity engineer. When I recently moved, I was never a OT cybersecurity engineer. I put OT cybersecurity in my CV. Praneeth, Praneeth, Praneeth. After getting an offer letter, I am blacklisted in IBM. I am blacklisted in TCS. I am blacklisted in Microland. Who cares? There are more than 10,000 great companies. I went to TCS. I joined them. I went to their onboarding day. I all the email addresses and everything was created for me. I ate their free lunch. First day they give free lunch. Not good. It was just a simple cafeteria lunch. And then I came home and never went back. I got my bag. I got my t-shirt, TCS t-shirt. I got my TCS ID badge. I never went back. So it's blacklisted. I took my career very unconventional, guys. Not hard and fast, strict, follow the rules. No. For me, simple. Will you pay me? I'll come and work for you. Forensic analyst. Go with forensic analyst Vaishnavi. That's a lot better designation. When I say designation, a lot better career option than SOC. After working in a SOC for maybe 5-6 years, then you can become a forensic. You can enter into a forensic team. But if you're getting an opportunity to go into forensic team right away, then do it. Srinivas, you have already left the job. So you're asking me whether it was a good decision after leaving the job. So you've already taken a decision. So, but anyways, it's definitely a good job, a good decision because tech support will not have any growth. Tech support will not have any growth for a long time. So you have that's what I say. One of the first thing that you have to do is choose a new age technology. Only new age technologies will pay you crazily. So you go for Java. Yes, you can be the most expert in Java, but your package is limited by the demand and supply. There are millions of people who know Java, right? So that means you cannot get exceptional packages in with the Java technology. Again, here and there, rare cases will always be there. But in general, the average salary of a Java developer will be less. But you take SIM, you take cybersecurity, especially now SOAR technology, OT cybersecurity. So these are the ones that will pay you huge packages because there are no enough people in the market. Demand and supply. There is a lot of demand, but there is no supply. Jimmy, I don't know. Maybe I can ask my partner to take a couple of classes in cloud security. She actually did a free cloud security classes last month. The entire 1 month course was free for cloud security. She's planning to do it again. She's currently between traveling. She is in India right now, so I think once she comes back to Dubai, she will be starting a cloud security class. Maybe we will announce it. We will definitely put it in the group, and you are most welcome to join it. It'll be a free course. It'll be AWS cloud security. I would not recommend that, Narsimha, unless you are working in SOC. Don't start SOAR classes unless you start working in SOC. After completion of the course, no. But if you're already working in SOC, then take SOAR. Cybersecurity job market across the globe is really good, Mohammed. US or you take any country for that matter, except for some European countries now. Even in Europe, it will be good. More lot of countries are recovering, but across the globe, the opportunities are good. But of course, things are impacted because of the economic slowdown. But what I am hearing, again, I'm not an expert in economies and all. Whatever I read, I can tell you. What I am reading, I feel happy about it. Things are recovering well. I think this quarter, Q3, we should see a good progress. And next year, the hiring will remain, will come back to normalcy. The opportunities will open up because this year end, what happens is, because the economy is again coming up, the business is doing well. Lot of companies will get budget for the next year. Lot of companies will get their budgets for the next year by the end of this year. So the next year hiring will be really good. So you get into a job as early as possible now and be ready to change the job by February or March next year. Yes, whether you have worked for 6 months, 4 months, don't care about it because next year from from February, March, April, the hiring will be really good and the packages will also be very good during that time. Yes.